Hello, tea family. How are you this evening? I hope you all are having a great week. Whether you are a lifelong tea lover, a coffee drinker who's just curious about tea, foodie, home cook, or someone who's just enjoying learning about interesting things about tea, you are in the right place. So say hello in the chat or comments, depending on how you're viewing us, and let us know you're here and what you're enjoying for a beverage tonight. Uh, Tonight is one of our monthly question and answers. So as you're here in the chat or comments, go ahead and put in whatever questions you have, and I will answer them live. We can talk about loose leaf teas, tea blendings, food pairings, brewing mistakes, myths, favorite teas, behind the scenes kind of stuff. Just let me know what your question is. Now, today I'm actually going to be drinking water because it's a really warm day, and I had a lot of tea earlier today, so I'm going to stick to water tonight. But let me know what you're drinking. My handy dandy assistant is currently not drinking anything because he forgot a beverage before he came downstairs. As you'll notice, the background, we are back for today. I don't know exactly where we'll be next week, but we are going to try this. Hopefully we'll be back here. Okay, so I have a question. How many cups of tea do you drink each day? Are you 1 cup and done? Are you a cup of tea every once in a while? Are you an avid tea drinker where that's all you drink all day long? I'm really curious. So whether you're watching this on the replay or watching us live, let me know how many cups of tea you drink on average per day. All right. So some people are often surprised because I don't drink just tea. I do drink other things too. But many tea lovers don't actually drink the same tea blend all day. There are those that they pick one and that's their tea blend all day long, and then the next day they might pick a different tea blend. Oh, excuse me. And then there are some that'll have one tea in the morning and a different tea in the afternoon, and then a caffeine-free blend right before bedtime. And so that is always interesting to me that many tea lovers just really don't drink the same tea all day long. I typically have one tea per day, but that's not always the case. So I drink different teas depending on what I am doing, in the morning I do like my Serene Sunrise black tea, but I typically will drink that tea, 3 cups of that tea or 3 brews of that tea. But sometimes I'll switch and have another one later today. But do you have one tea that you like to drink all day and you switch that up? Or do you have different teas for different times of the day? I'm really interested. Okay. So we're going to play a tea, truth, or myth. So here's the myth. You have to decide if it is truth, or myth. Okay. Loose leaf tea is difficult to make. Go ahead and put it in the chat of comments. And I'm going to give you a couple of seconds as I take a sip. Okay, that's a myth. It's actually easier than people think. In fact, on Saturday morning, I was with a wonderful group of ladies, and we were making tea. And a couple of them came up and they're like, I just want to watch and make sure I'm doing it right. And it was so simple. And they literally walked away going, oh, I was doing it right. It wasn't that hard. And that's the thing. Yes, you can make it super fancy. However, it is really simple. It is not a difficult thing, and it's not as time consuming as you think. So Stephanie has just joined us. Stephanie's drinking the same drink I am, water tonight. I love it. I love it. Okay. Mine's room temperature. That's the I don't know. Stephanie, is your water cold or warm? The handy dandy assistant has an inquiring mind that wants to know. Okay. So one of the questions that was sent into me was how I got started blending tea. So many know the story behind why I choose tea, why I don't drink coffee, things like that. However, um, one of the reasons why we started this business was actually the pandemic. Because of Uncle Sam, when my husband was active duty military, we would move around the country a lot. And so we would find tiny little tea rooms wherever we were, or ideally close to where we were, and we would try them out. And we would always try different blends of tea and different things like that. So we got favorites kind of around the world, or around the country, rather. And then during the pandemic, so many of them closed. They just couldn't keep up with everything without having that business coming into their tea room. And so we got to the point where there were certain blends and certain flavor combinations that we really loved that we couldn't get access to anymore. So we started to make some for ourselves and then sharing them with friends when they would come over, and they're like, well, you should make some tea. And then we thought about it and kind of started there, started just going to local markets and farmers markets and things like that. And that's kind of how we got started blending tea, just kind of having fun, being the nerdy geek that I am in the kitchen with the chemistry and the flavors and all that kind of stuff. So Stephanie is drinking her ice cold water. Mine's room temperature. But that's how I started blending tea. Uh, the first tea that I really created was a standard English breakfast tea. It was our breakfast blend, mostly because that was my favorite tea at the time, and that's a good standard. After that, man, it kind of skyrocketed from there with different flavor combinations. And I added the cinnamon, and serene sunrise became my favorite. We worked for 2 years to create our ruby chai, our caffeine-free chai blend, because we just didn't get it quite how we wanted it. And then once we got that blend down, it seemed like we added the other chais pretty easily because we kind of had our base notes that we really favored. So one of the hardest teas that it was to blend in the beginning was our Emerald Garden. I wanted a green tea that was just a nice light green tea that didn't have that bitter bite aftertaste at the end. And that took a while because we had to find the blend of the green teas that would add that hint of sweetness so that you didn't have that bite. That was kind of one of those things that took us a while, but definitely well worth it because I still enjoy Emerald Garden on occasion, especially cold. When the hot summer comes, brew it in the morning and then put it in the refrigerator, let it cool, and then it's a wonderful sipping tea in the afternoon. Just doesn't need anything else. So, okay. So, what tea? Another question I have is, okay, let me try that again. Another question that I received was, what tea surprises people the most? This is an interesting question, and I really like it because it's unusual. One of the teas that really surprises people. I would have to say the ruby chai because people don't anticipate that much flavor without the caffeine. And I know that there are people that don't particularly care for rooibos that actually also enjoy it. So I think that is one of the surprising ones. Uh, as for other ones, let's see. Handy dandy assistant, do you have an idea? I'm trying to think really carefully about like which teas typically surprise people. I think Sunlit Orchard does. That apple ginger flavor is not a traditional flavor, and so I think it surprises people, especially because it's caffeine free and it looks clear. It looks like water. It looks like water, and so when people see it, the samples, they're like, "Oh, it's going to be just watery," and then they taste it, and it's really full of flavor. And people always express how, "Wow, that has a lot of flavor." People are amazed what cinnamon does to tea. Cinnamon, yeah. Serene Sunrise is another one when we're at the markets and they have the free samples. and they're tasting them, that just the hint of cinnamon to smooth out the boldness, that how much that changes the flavor of the boldness and smooths out it without ruining the flavor of the black tea. So those would be a couple. Another question we received is, how do we come up with tea names? Well, some of them, for instance, breakfast blend or morning Irish or like the chai blends, we typically want to, excuse me, everybody. This is what happens when you wake up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and by this point in the day, I'm tired. Okay. So typically we wanted to let people know what to anticipate. So if you see breakfast blend, you're going to think, oh, that's a breakfast, an English breakfast kind of a blend. So it's going to be a black tea, pretty bold in flavor. Then we wanted to, morning Irish. That's kind of probably, okay, it's morning, it's Irish, it's probably like an Irish breakfast sort of tea. So some of them you can tell. Serene sunrise or Irish sunrise, you kind of get the idea that this is going to be a black tea. This is an early morning tea. Other teas, the names come from, well, like Nautical Twilight. That name came from because we wanted that caffeine-free ginger hibiscus tea that would be really great in kind of the afternoonish time, maybe in the evening. And so we kind of thought of different names that way. Now, it is a military term as well. However, one of the things that you'll notice is like our chais all have some kind of gem attached to them. There's ruby chai, onyx chai, jade chai, tiger eye chai. I'm trying to think. There's the garnet, and there's a pearl one. I can't remember. It's something with a pearl. It's one of the very specialties that only comes every once in a while. And so that is a theme we kind of took with that. And so we kind of like having that fun every once in a while. But sometimes the names are chosen by our viewers. Our tasters will give us inspiration for names. Sometimes we're trying to evoke a feeling like Hearth Fire, where it's that rooibos and pecan, and it's a very fall blend, or appealing when it has apple in it, for that fall blend. And so sometimes we play with it, and sometimes we just come up with names or possibilities, or we ask people like online. We go on our social media. I'm like, hey, here's a vote. We've got this tea blend coming out. What should we call it? In fact, we'll probably have to do that pretty soon because we have been experimenting a little bit. I hope next week to be able to send some out to testers. It's been a spring. We haven't sent anything out, but for like kind of a pumpkin spice type of tea flavor. But I don't want to call it pumpkin spice because there are those that are like get pumpkin spiced everything. So I want to kind of have a name that will kind of give that feel to it without saying pumpkin spice.
Great pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin. I mean, I think it might be a copyright infringement with Snoopy, but we'll see. We'll see. So that is one of those things that was supposed to go out the end of April, but for reasons didn't quite. Topaz is a great one. Yeah, so those are we come up with these ideas, and the Highland Dawn, it was a vote on one of our live streams just like this. And so that's how we come up with them. Sometimes they're a little bit funny, sometimes they're a little bit unusual. I can tell you one of our new blends, All Hail Kansas, came from the fact that we do an event at Hale Library for K-State University, and it is a purple blend, and it's a really good one. I almost had that tonight, but then was like, no, I'm gonna stick to water right now. So there you go. Can tea taste different with different water? Absolutely. In fact, that's why you have an English breakfast, an Irish breakfast, and a Scottish breakfast tea because the water content, the mineral content was different. And so you needed more boldness to kind of counteract the water. And that's one of the reasons why we highly recommend you do some filtered spring water or that sort of thing. So it doesn't have all of the, sorry, everybody. Gotta love it when the spam callers call you all the time. But that's one of the things that can easily affect the flavor. It's one of the reasons why we always say filtered spring water. I will tell you that when I have traveled at times and I've all of a sudden come across like highly chlorinated water when I go to brew my tea that I bring with me, it doesn't go so well. And there's even been times I've had to throw out my own tea blends because the chlorine and the chemical taste from the water was just too much. It was overwhelming. At this point, I typically will just make sure I purchase a water bottle, and I even have, some spring water with me, only from the sense that it's not a nice day for me when I don't get my tea when I'm looking forward to it. You get all set and you're ready to take that first sip, and then it tastes like chlorine and then you get disappointed. So a lot of times I will travel or I will purchase water wherever I'm traveling to make sure I have it.
We've been to places with high sulfur water.
We do. We have been to Savannah many times, and out past Savannah, as you get, I think it's a little farther south, but we've gone to some places where there's a super high sulfur content to the water, and that definitely also. So again, we just typically will make sure we have some spring water or some filtered bottled water in a pinch, just because you can't always depend on the water when you travel. Okay. What tea would I serve at a wedding? Well, I will tell you that would depend on what the food would be, what the bride and groom love for tea blends. Are they, black tea people, green tea people, completely caffeine free? What foods are they serving? What food? When are they doing? Are they doing it kind of like as an after the dessert tea, so to speak, like when you have that coffee and your dessert at the end, or when you're having the cake? Well, then I might want to think about like what's the cake going to taste like, so I could compare and contrast with that. So that's one of those things that it's going to be a different answer depending on the circumstances. You can't really allow ourselves to get, oh, I only have this tea. Oh, I only do this. We want to be able to expand on that and think about all the other flavors and complexities when it comes to things like that, so that we can better pair. Okay. In the time of the year. What tea would I serve at a book club? Again, I would go with kind of what other snacks are going, or we do a subscription every year, and it's an installment of a mystery, and you get that chapter and you get that tea flavor that's in the story. So when that happens, it's the tea that's in the story. If there's a lot of certain flavors, I kind of like to pick the tea that would kind of go along with the book and the story, kind of storyline. If they've got a lot about fruits, or maybe they're on a vineyard, right? And so there's a lot of grapes, and there's going to be some deep, rich flavors like that. Then I'm going to probably pull into the black teas. If they are talking about the story is taking place in maybe Southeast Asia or something like that, I'm going to probably lean a little more on the green tea end of things. If it's taking place in India, then I'm definitely going to want some chai blends in there. I kind of match to the story. So there you go. I did have one person ask me if I could only drink one tea for a month, what would it be? Serene Sunrise, hands down, no question. That's what it would be. In fact, while I was gone for that 2 months, in that first month, I only had enough to do about 5 days of my Serene Sunrise tea because I wasn't anticipating being gone. I thought I'd be gone like a week, maybe a week and a half. And we were not packing well for a lot of reasons. And I did not have Serene Sunrise with me. So I was drinking other teas that I had brought. But I did have to go to my distributors and order in the supplies to make Serene Sunrise, but it took about a month. So I went without my favorite for almost a month. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that one again. I'm going to make sure I always have plenty. But if I had one tea, it would definitely be Serene Sunrise. I could drink that every day, all day, very easily. I would miss some other flavors. Like I like Harmony, and there's a reason why I'm bringing the Harmony up right now, but I do like other flavors. I do like having some variety, but if I could only have one, it's going to be my favorite. Now, I'm betting that Stephanie would pick Onyx Chai. Now, I know Stephanie would pick Onyx Chai. I am betting that Kim, a friend of mine, she would pick our Double Spring Leap tea, which is our leap year tea. It's only available every 4 years. She would pick that one. Her backup would be Aloha Breeze. But there are so many choices. My friend Dominique, I'll bet it would be Earl's Blend. Every day for a month would not be a problem. See, that's what I'm saying. When you have a favorite tea or a favorite couple of blends, it's not a problem. It's not a hardship for me to drink the same tea every day for a month. Would I eventually want some variety? Yes, but it wouldn't be a hardship. So, okay. Let's see. I wanted to talk about Harmony. So, because Harmony is typically only available April, May, and June, which means we're about to end June next week. And the problem is I've had to put a hold. Yes. The last day of June is next Tuesday. Because I had to put a hold on all website orders through the end of June, and that will hold true. We will start shipping again on July 1st, maybe June 30th, but definitely July 1st. I am going to extend Harmony's availability for one more month. So Harmony will be available the entire month of July, just because I feel bad because it's April, May, and June, and really all of part of April, all of May, and all of June, we're not shipping due to other reasons. So that's not fair because I know this is people's favorite. So I am going to have Harmony available for the month of July before it goes back in the vault. So I do want to bring that out. Harmony will be available. And Harmony, for those of you that don't know, it is a green tea with freeze-dried strawberries and a little bit of orange zest. It is one of the few tea blends that we have that the flavors will come very distinctly as opposed to melding into one. We did make ice cream with it last year that was absolutely delicious, but this is a wonderful sipping tea, and it will be wonderful to enjoy over the holiday season as well and over the summer. So Harmony will be available in July. Speaking of, I never got to release the July 4th tea in the beginning of June. And so I'm hoping that I will be able to announce it, but regardless, during July, we will have a tea. I might have to extend it a little bit into August so that it's out for a month, but we have been working on a red, white, and blue tea. However, again, circumstances being what they are and beyond our control, we are going to have that available. I'm hoping to have it on the live what I'm enjoying on the live next week. Speaking of the live next week, we are going to be doing something that is typically very, very popular. And that is we're going to create a tea blend together. So whether you email me your suggestions because you're someone who can only watch it on the replay for whatever reason, or you're here live, and if you're here live, you'll probably get a little bit more say, just saying. But we are going to definitely go ahead and create another tea blend live. And then, like I normally do, if you want to try that, I will make you a little sample and you can enjoy the tea. And that's another one where people have helped name and different things like that. So, all right, well, that is what we're going to be doing next week. But I want to give everybody another chance to ask any other questions. So while I'm giving you a chance to put questions in the chat or comment, I'm going to ask you a question. If you could create your dream tea blend, what flavors would be in it? So, handy dandy assistant?
Something with honey. That is a really good.
Handy dandy assistant would pick something with honeybush in it. Honeybush is very delicious. It is a caffeine-free herb, but it adds a note of sweetness to it, but it is a very nice later flavor. I would agree. It's a great combination. It would be technically a tisane as opposed to a tea blend, but anyway, how about everybody else? Go ahead, put in the chat or the comments. I'm trying to give everybody, I know there's always a delay between when I say things and when you hear them. And so I'm always trying to fill that time a little bit when I ask a question so that you have a chance. If you have a question, now is the time to put it in the chat or the comments, or let us know what that ingredient would be if you were creating your perfect tea blend. We did have to cancel or postpone our custom tea blending class. That will be those that were invited to that will be happening in July is my hope, and then we'll probably do another one come fall if all goes well. So all right, I'm not seeing any questions come up. Handy dandy assistant, am I missing anything? Okay, well, that's okay. You can still always ask, even if it's on the replay or later on or when you think. But I want to say thanks for spending part of your day with me. If you ever have a question, feel free to reach out. And remember, next Monday, we will be creating a tea blend together. I definitely need the caffeine, so we are going to be doing a black tea base next week. But I will have a whole bunch of ingredients, and we're just going to create a blend together. So I don't see any other questions. I will wish you all the best week, and we will see you all later. Have a good one, everybody.